All right, we're up. We're here.
We live.
Free agency's here. Balta is there. Sam is here. I'm like low-key disappointed that how slow free agency has gone. So used to like everyone tampering.
Man, like in years past, we've been spoiled, right?
Yeah, true.
That's what's happened. We've been spoiled. We've had some really top tier, top echelon agency classes the past couple years, tons of movement. And then this year, everybody's been talking about how down the free agency class is. A lot of people are talking about how free agency is dead, like it's not really a thing anymore. And so, yeah, it was a little bit to be expected. No, like, just huge deals coming in as soon as it began. But, I mean, hey, we're here. We made it. Free agency time. Hopefully, the Charlotte Hornets can grab a couple guys.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about free agency specific to the Hornets later. So if you're watching live, let us know who you want the Hornets to target. If you're watching on demand, we're gonna throw up some banners as we discuss things. But in order to talk about that, we should talk about how we got here. So, and if the NBA draft has come and gone, 2 days of fun, of wins and losses, depending on what team you support. I've made a couple videos about the draft, both days of the draft, and I'm really high on what happened overall. Um, where do you sit? What's some time now between draft nights and sitting here today? How you feel about what the Hornets did on each night?
I feel really good. Nipple, so such a good pick. I mean, he comes in day one. He should be a part of this rotation. I don't see how there's a realm in which he isn't. He shoots too well. And for many people, uh, I feel like many in the fan base feel like he was a lackadaisical pick. He was not their top target. He's not that flashy. He's not Ace Bailey. He's not Trey Johnson, right? And so he was a boring pick. I'm fine with that. I am completely fine with that. I love the Concanipple selection. Even at 4, I would have loved for the Hornets to trade back. But I mean, honestly, if Charlotte trades back, whoever moves up to 4 probably does take Ace Bailey. You gamble, and I think if Ace Bailey is gone, I think the Jazz take Knipple. And then if you're the Charlotte Hornets, if you're Jeff Peterson, you don't end up with one of your guys or with the guy that you wanted heading into draft night. So I don't think it's worth it at that juncture. I know I saw a lot of people, hey, we could have traded back and still gotten Knipple. Could you? I don't think you could. At
Yeah.
that point, whoever you're trading back with, I don't think that you do. And so love that pick. Um, Obviously, I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more. Mark Williams is traded. We received the
Yeah.
29th pick, a future first. Um, a little more hesitant on taking Liam McNeely, 29th overall. I know a lot of other people were high on that selection. I saw Keith Smith, who's like a cap guru in the NBA space. I think he said he had McNeely as a top 10 prospect in this draft. I didn't. And I think that we could have gone some additional routes rather than, kind of doubling down on basically a worse version of Kniffle is kind of how I look at McNeely. It feels redundant. I don't mind it. I see what the team's trying to do, but I like Kalkbrenner better. I like the Kalkbrenner selection better than I do the McNeely selection, if that makes sense.
No, I think that makes sense. Um, that's who I wanted in the second round, and I feel like Jeff Peterson was trolling Hornets fans by taking him with the second pick. But
Yeah,
he could have just done it 33, just alleviate all concerns about addressing the center spot, and then
yeah.
just went, well, we got it. Also, real quick, were you watching the draft live by any chance?
Oh yeah,
Because if it the when I realized that ESPN had a talk about two Charlotte Hornets pick back to back in the second round, I was like, there ain't no way they have enough material to do this. And after they made the 33rd pick, they quickly went to commercials. Like this is how they get around it. There's no way they're
immediately.
trying to talk about the Hornets.
No, they're not trying to talk about us. I mean, they can only say this team
All we can do is
sucks
oh,
in
oh
so
my
many
god.
different ways, like a politician,
Yeah.
glossing over what everybody thinks about this franchise, right? And so yeah, there was no way that they were going to talk about us. They even found a way. Malika Andrews even found a way, even when it had already been reported that the Boston Celtics had traded pick 32, because
Mhm.
both second round picks prior to the Charlotte Hornets were traded,
Yep.
right? And so they even found a way. She said, even though we know that pick 32 is not heading to Boston, we're still going to talk about Boston. Like it was just,
That's
I knew
crazy.
immediately we were heading to break. There's no way they're going to give the Charlotte Hornets this much airspace. No way in hell.
Yep. So for me, taking both nights into the draft into account, I think it was an A performance from the front office. Knipple, I like the McNeely pick. I think that's a pure value pick at that late in the draft, knowing that you can address the center spot later. Like there were still center options in the second round where they were selecting.
Multiple.
Yeah, so like I look at that like, all right, they went best player available at that stage, and we've talked about it, but like the shooting on the team is brutal, absolutely brutal. And the people who like really study this stuff say McNeely's shooting numbers are better than his shooting ability is better than what the numbers shown at
Yeah.
UConn, given the fact he had to create so much there and he had some ankle stuff going on and an illness at some point. It sounds like excuses, maybe they are, but I like the idea of taking a high pedigree one and done guy that late in the first round. It's a good mix. Plus, this matters for the Hornets, especially, but like he seems to really want to play here. And I love that as a Hornets fan,
We
a
all
guy who's
should.
really gassed about being part of this organization. That's not nothing. It's not everything, but it's not nothing. And then second round, Sion James. We know this Duke thing is real, even though they traded one. Uh,
We talked
Jeanette,
about that in the weeks leading up to the draft, right?
yeah,
How real this Duke connection is. For years, we saw a Carolina connection.
mm-hmm,
Now, that Carolina connection played out more so in the front office, right? And
yep,
at the higher ups than it did at the team level. Now, I mean, we still saw some Carolina players. We saw Leaky Black here most recently. And then, I mean, we can all go back to the Raymond Felton, Sean May draft, which was just, let's put asses in seats, right?
yep,
Um, but this Duke connection, now that Rick Schnall is at the helm, it's real. Training camp there, and then you know, Sion James. The thing I like about that selection, I didn't mention him. I'm glad you did. He does things that not many people on this team do.
yep,
And he's a connector. Like when you watch his highlight film, I don't know if you saw this, Sam, but Jonathan Gavoni, was talking about Sion James and the selection going to Charlotte. There were whispers how Charlotte was interested in him and how he could go early second round, and it ended up being true as we see. But when you saw his highlight tape that Jonathan Gavoni shared, it was all him passing and playing defense. There was no shooting, there was no scoring, there was no taking guys 1v1. There was there's none of that. It was all him connecting. And the reason why I appreciate that is because a lot of times we get caught up on this offensive game and we look at highlights where it's like, oh, this guy's not an NBA player because I watched his highlights. He's not that impressive. But with this Charlotte Hornets team, and something that we have lacked for years, is guys just being able to and willing to make an easy pass,
Yep.
like catch and kick, and like that additional pass. What we saw the San Antonio Spurs just excel at for roughly 2 decades and across what 4 or 5 championships. And so I like to see on James' selection for that reason. And then Kalkbrenner. Liam McNeely, I I feel like a lot of people are highlighting his shooting, and you've already alluded to this. The attribute that I like the best from McNeely is his rebounding and just like the small snippets of the game.
Yep.
Like he didn't shoot it that well at UConn, and I hope that the shot translates. I hope that everyone who's broken down his shot. I saw James Plowright. Brett, he said he went back and watched every one of his shots, and he broke it down. He did a fantastic job with that. But it's more his hustle, his grit, his willingness to get kind of nasty on the boards, which is something else that this team needs to do. You spoke about his willingness to be in Charlotte and him looking like he wants to be here. Another aspect I want to throw out, and I'll be done, is we just saw Miles Turner in the finals. Yeah, he has some questions with his game as well. He's a Lego guy. We saw Liam McNeely. He's a Lego guy too. So hopefully, hey, Miles Turner and his Legos just made it to a finals. Maybe Liam McNeely and his Lego hobby can also make it to the finals here soon.
I'm a Lego guy.
Okay, hey, look, here we go. Where your Legos at, Sam?
Let's go, baby. I got my Lego T-Rex right behind me.
Oh, shit.
The what's it called? So you mentioned like the grit and all that stuff, like and that engine, like all these draft picks have that, and it seems to be a real direction they're going in with the players they acquire, and a true like plan, right? So that makes me feel good as a Hornets fan, regardless of the results on the court. We know they're trying to put that type of product out there, not taking the high swings and going for the guys that are going to work the hardest. And at minimum, regardless of the results, we need these guys competing every night. And they're going to hold losses, but they're going to fight hard for it. I'm here for it.
I'm glad you mentioned in recent years in the second round, and I get it. I truly do. When you're the Charlotte Hornets and you're not making the playoffs, and you're not even making it to the play-in, and you have higher expectations because you have a former All-Star in LaMelo Ball, but he just can't stay healthy. And then you draft at number 2 with Brandon Miller, but then he goes down. Things start to happen, right? But what I got to give this front office credit for is in those recent years, they did try to swing big in the second round. They took high usage guys from college with those second round picks. Like they were trying to hit like these big home runs, and these guys, like even if you look back at like Bryce McGowan's high usage guy in college, and Grant Riller. I know I'm stepping back a few years, and hopefully Hornets fans who have been Hornets fans for a while, you'll recognize these names. Our more recent, just joined the fan base Hornets fans, maybe you recognize some of these names, maybe you don't. I don't know. But like we tried to take these guys who like ball dominant, like pounding the air out of the ball, throwing up shots, constantly had the ball in their hands, all this kind of stuff. We did the opposite. Late in the first, second round, we took guys, even with Khan, you started taking guys who didn't have to have the ball in their hands to be successful, to be impactful, to make a difference on the game. And I think that's the clear difference between this year's draft and drafts in the past. Is the Hornets were trying to take these high usage, ball has to be in their hands. Yeah, maybe they were dropping 18, 19, 20 points a game in college. But like you go to the pros, Like, you're not doing that anymore. We don't need that from you. We need connectors. And
Yeah.
like, that's what Charlotte did this season or this year in the draft. And Jeff Peterson deserves all the kudos for doing so.
Yeah, and we saw a glimpse of it last year with KJ Simpson, right? He was a 4-year guy, I believe. Yes, 3 or 4 year guy in college. Selected him because these second rounders, they have a shorter like window to click or not. And so if you take the older guys, the more experienced guys, they theoretically will be more NBA ready. And so you can kind of get a glimpse of like, do they got it or not? Do they fit or not? And so last year with KJ, this year with Kalkbrenner, who is a grown ass man with a wife. Love that. Sion James, another grown ass man with 5 years of college under his belt. Like, I love that. So yeah, we'll see what they got. Summer League, year 1, year 2, and if it's not there, just go again. Like, you could just go again, just cycle through it. I like the strategy of going older in the second round instead of like the lottery ticket guys, your JT Thors of the world, your James Najee's of the world.
Even I know he was a first round pick, but he was late first. So I'll even Nick Smith Jr., right? Like, has to have the ball in his hands, and like, just like, we're getting away from that, right?
Yeah. So, and these are like real, like, just smart basketball things. Like, you need when you're building out a team, you need guys that do the little things. So, what grade would you give the draft overall? For me, it's an A, like a really solid A. Where are you at?
For me, I think it's a B plus, just because I don't want to harp on the Liam McNeely pick. I'm fine with Sion James. I love the Kalkbrenner pick. I love Khan at 4. I think the only reason why I don't rate it higher is because that Liam McNeely pick. I wish that maybe we had gone even a little bit more nasty. Maybe Tiero. I really liked Pinda. Maybe one of those guys in his stead. But as you alluded to, as you stated, BPA at 29. Some people had McNeely in the low teens on their board. And so, I mean, I can't hate on it too much. I don't feel like there's an avenue for McNeely to be impactful on this roster this season. And I don't know if it's there next season either. I think next season is the earliest, which I'm fine with. Like, I don't feel like this is a make or break season. I'm cool with that. I just feel like it's more crowded. That 2, 3 shooting guard, small forward, I feel like it's more crowded than prior to the draft, pre-draft. And so I don't know. We stayed on Josh Okogie's, and I'm sure we'll mention that here just momentarily. Yeah. But we kicked that off until mid-July, so he's still there. We still got the MLE where we could add another wing. McNeely feels like he's pushed down the line. I could see him a lot in Greensboro. I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. I didn't love the redundancy and he didn't shoot it well last year at UConn. Maybe there are reasons for it. Hopefully that translates more space in the NBA. Role player. I'm cool with all of that. But that would be the only reason why I really give it a B plus opposed to an A. I loved all the other picks. That would be just the one that I think dings it a little bit.
All right, cool. So for folks listening, we're just finished talking about the NBA draft. There's not much news specific to free agency for the Hornets. That's why we're kind of starting with the draft. Hopefully something hits as we're going, and if it does, we'll pivot to it quickly. But the Hornets made a very big trade for the second time. Mark Williams, draft night, going to Phoenix. That trade is officially official.
He's gone. It happened.
It finally got it. Lakers are pussies. The Suns are not. So salute to y'all for saying sticking to your word. Mark is gone. Liam McNeely, part of the deal, part of that trade.
I don't know if anyone's heard this, but the Charlotte Hornets have acquired the draft rights to Liam McNeely.
I do respect the Hornets social team for running with that, because
Holy shit! How many times have they posted that?
they had to cover their ass, man. We've been burned once.
Oh my god.
We get burned. But we're talking Mark Williams right now. Then we're talking the Sexton trade, because we'll just keep the centers in the center conversation. Then we're gonna talk Tre Mann and then Josh Okogie, and then just ideal free agent signings here in a bit. But Mark Williams going out for real. Meach is coming back the other way. Liam McNeely, like we mentioned, another pick, another future pick. We'll see how that goes, because that's a weird one with protections associated with it. And Vasa Micic, which, no lie, I was live streaming during the draft with my friend Mike, and I was so happy about the Mark Williams trade. Like, they finally pulled it off, and they're picking again in the first round. And like, maybe they could even move up a little even higher, package the 33, 34 plus 29 to get into like the late teens or something like that.
Yeah.
And then someone in the chat said something about Micic. It's like, no, it can't be. That can't.
Ain't no way,
no.
Man.
And then I kept seeing it, and I saw it, and I could have cried. Like, I felt tears welling up in my eyes about the idea of having to watch Vasa Micic play basketball for the Charlotte Hornets again. But the saving grace, Fenerbahce in Turkey, in Europe, can save us all from all of that. So we're not even discussing that. Mark Williams, though, leaving. What are your thoughts on Mark dipping and the haul they got for him?
Phenomenal return. I mean, at this point, with what you got, I was out on Mark Williams. Too many injuries, and then even after the Lakers rescinded that trade, and he comes back to Charlotte. I got to give Mark credit. He pushed through. He played for a team that traded him, that obviously did not want him. And I'm sure that there were grown-up conversations that were had at that point. I'm sure that Jeff Peterson, Charles Lee, other bigwigs in the Hornets organization were like, look, Mark, yes, we tried to trade you. It didn't work out. You're back with us. Play your way into your next contract. Play your way to be wanted by another organization. Like don't let this define your career. And I got to give it to Mark. He played through whether. Here's the thing. The Lakers probably should not have rescinded that trade. But at the same time, I think all Charlotte Hornets fans know that we didn't want Mark Williams. A large majority of us. We didn't want Mark Williams anymore because of the injury concerns. And so when the Lakers sent him back, it's one of those things where, like, we're pissed at the Lakers, but at the same time, if we're being honest with ourselves, the reason why we were so excited he was being shipped out is because we knew down deep that there are bigger issues here and that he's probably never going to stay on the floor consistently. And so love the trade, love getting back 2 firsts. I'm with you. The reason why I graded the draft a B+, I would have liked to package 29, 33, 34, or 29, 33, maybe not all 3 of them, but 2 of them to move up into the early 20s. Because I think that was possible. We saw not what New Orleans did. Not New Orleans 23 and unprotected 26 first, just to jump up to 13. Not that. But we did see some other teams package a late first and a second to move up some spots in the 20s. And so I would have liked the Hornets to do that. Maybe I would have liked that a little bit better than maybe bringing in 4 rookies. I didn't really want to do that. I would have been good with bringing in 3, but 4 felt a little rich to me. But I love the return for Mark. I mean, early first couple of years. I mean, we're talking switchability on the wing. I mean, we all remember the clip at the end of the game where he switched on to Trae Young and just locked him down and got the stop. Hornets beat the Hawks. beautiful stuff. That mark doesn't exist in 2025. Too many injuries, foot, back, whatever it may be. That's just no longer there. And so, love the return. Just wish that maybe that McNeely selection had been something different. But I see the vision. I'm not totally out on it, but good return.
And for me, as one of the really sticking points with Mark Williams for me is he's not a dog. I don't
He's
view
not.
him as a hyper competitor.
No.
All the things we've been saying about the kids they've been bringing in or the veterans they've traded for, he doesn't carry that trait. And so for me, it makes sense that he had to go to fit what they're trying to do here in a lot of different directions. So I wish him the very best in Phoenix. It is really weird they have Nick Richards there too. Like we did that. We did this. It doesn't work, but go for it. Knock yourselves out. So enjoy that, Suns. And they just take it. Also, with them taking Malawak right at the same time the trade came through, it's so weird.
The Suns have no idea. Like Matt Ishbia is the David Tepper of the NBA. Like
so weird, dog.
He's just he's in on everything. He's in the room.
Yeah.
He's got to get his fingerprints off that organization if they're going to do anything. I can't imagine looking at the Charlotte Hornets and saying, I want to replicate that shit.
Right.
Like it's wild. We did have the report earlier that a lot of teams are interested in trading for Nick Richards. So hopefully, for Nick's sake, he can get out from underneath Mark Williams' shadow. Hopefully, for Nick's sake.
So let's keep it with the centers. Nurkic is gone. They traded Mark Williams, and it was like, all right, we really need a center. They draft Kalkbrenner in the second round. You're like, okay, Nurkic, Diabate, Kalkbrenner makes sense going into the year. For a team that doesn't have very high expectations, you can get through a season with Nurkic and Diabate. And for me, I expected Nurkic to be a deadline day move, not now. So moving on from Nurkic makes sense. Just way sooner than I expected and the fact that they got Colin Sexton in return and a second round pick is mind blowing. Like
it's crazy.
The Jeff Peterson fully cooked. Like last year was last year. Like the Tejan Salon shit is a thing of the past, in my opinion. It's been fire ever since. And this, I know it's only 1 year. You never know what's going to happen with like Sexton beyond the season, but that's the type of player. And we're going to get to Tre Mann later, but like that type of value for a guy who's basically a push salary cap wise makes so much sense for what the Hornets desperately need in the backcourt. So where you at on the trade itself?
I mean, it's insane. Like, yeah, you said everything perfectly. The Tejan Salon selection is just still a giant mystery, that's just kind of hanging and hovering in the balance. And so I was trying to read that comment. Did Cornette just go to the Spurs? Is that what we saw?
I have Cornette in the thumbnail as like the mystery man. I was holding out hope, but
okay.
What do you do?
All right.
And compared to the Rockets, all the centers are coming off the board now.
Yeah, but back to Nurk. The amount of Tejan Salon selection was just they tried to hit a home run in a draft that was less than, right? And so I understand it. It's fine. Everything since that Jeff Peterson has done, whether that be at the trade deadline, this summer, it's been phenomenal stuff. And you mentioned the return for Nurkic with Sexton and a second. We also received a first for just taking him on from, once again, Matt Ishbia and the Phoenix Suns. Okay. I mean, what the hell are you doing over there, Matt? I don't know. But we will continue to deal with you. Devin Booker, is he available? Do you want Miles Bridges? We'll do it straight up. I promise.
Right.
It's wild. Sexton is the better player.
Yep.
And we got the pick. and I know that Utah is just trying to, they're just trying to open up minutes for all of their young guys. They are 100% heat seeking missile on the 2026 NBA draft. The Utah Jazz, they know this year they're all in on the draft. That is their destination. Okay. Clint Capella to Houston. All right, they're coming off. They're coming off.
Houston's cooking too, by the way. They got Finney Smith, I
My
think.
gosh, Houston's doing some really good stuff. They really
Yeah.
are. Love the return we got for Nurk. For him to only come to Charlotte and give us like a couple months of service and to bring in what he did. Love you, Nurk. Hornets fucking legend.
Yeah, bro. it's a masterclass, man. They fully did it. They did it. They did a madness there. And the addition of Sexton is so interesting for so many reasons. Like, I don't know if they're gonna start him or come off the bench. My gut reaction is to have him be the sixth man on the team. Because him and LaMelo in the backcourt, I don't know. But him coming in, being the green light off the bench, I think there's a lot of promise there. And at times you can run both at the same time. And Sexton's put up some crazy numbers at Utah, being a really consistent scorer and shooter. Like, that addition with or without Tre Mann is massive for just us getting through the year. Like, having a real competent NBA player on the roster that's going to have the ball in his hands. Because, like, the guards we've had to watch the last few years, man, have all come to Charlotte and been out the league. Like, this has been last chance you for so long. And Sexton, to have a guard that has real NBA pedigree and a future ahead of him, that alone feels amazing. So I love the deal for so many reasons. That's just one of them, man.
The switch up from Mitch Kupchak to Jeff Peterson. I mean, you're talking about years of going into the season with Ish Smith and Teo Maladon and Ntilikina just staying on the roster, even though he's injured. He can't do anything. He can do absolutely nothing for you, and he's not even that good when he's healthy. I mean, it's just.
We saw Malachi Flynn, dog. We had to see some bodies come through. It's been so bad.
It's been so bad, and it has been. It has been a cry out from Hornets fans for years to shore up this backcourt, and then even more so with all of the injuries that LaMelo sustained. Like, you can't have enough guards at this point. You just can't. And so to bring in somebody as capable as Colin Sexton is for a guy like Nurk, who people were talking about whether he should start or he should come off the bench. Like, it's not like he was just this no-brainer starter. I would have started him. I think Nurkic would have been the starter.
Yes,
just because of his experience. And I do think he's probably the best out of himself, Kalk, and Musa.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to move off of him and shore up that backcourt and then hopefully be able to bring in that front court piece, absolute. And get the additional second. I think it's a 2030 second. Great deal. Phenomenal. I mean, Mark Williams trade, Nurkic trade, Jeff Peterson hit it out of the park.
So let's move on to Tre Mann, because that is where it gets weird with Sexton, and it felt like what we talked about in a previous stream, that weird report from Shams at 9:30 at night about how healthy Tre Mann is back, and it felt like this was a dog whistle of like, hey, we're a little misaligned on his value, him being the agency and him being the organization. And it was a little shot of like, hey, you have somebody here. Earlier today, they announced that he was going to be an unrestricted free agent, declined the qualifying offer, and now we're just sitting and waiting. He can very well come back. The Hornets have his bird rights, right? So, like, he could return, but it definitely feels like it's the end for Tre Mann, and then the move for Sexton was insurance for that.
Yeah. Tre Mann, what I thought the Hornets would do was accept his qualifying offer, let him test the market, and then they either match or they don't match, whatever anyone gives. And so when I saw that the Charlotte Hornets had elected to decline that offer, I felt like it took an option away from them. That was something where I was kind of like, I don't know if I would have done that. But I tweeted this out earlier from Hornets League. The Charlotte Hornets, Jeff Peterson has seen Tre Mann more than anyone. They know more about him than any other team. They've dealt with his recovery. They've dealt with all of his injuries from this past season, the setbacks, right? We thought we were going to get him back sooner, and then there was a setback. Then they kind of pushed it off to a second, comeback date, and then there was another setback. And it's like, oh, shit. Jeff Peterson, I'm trusting him entirely on this because he knows more than any other team does. And so there is an opportunity that Charlotte can still bring Tre Mann back. We saw the Nets do this with Day'Ron Sharpe.
Yep.
They declined his qualifying offer. I believe it was yesterday. They brought him back literally today just so that they could get him on a longer deal. They didn't want to sign him to a 1-year prove-it deal so that next summer he can go out and get more money. They wanted to lock him up for the next 2 years instead of just one. And so I think they did a 2-year, $12 million deal for Day'Ron Sharpe. We could see Charlotte do the same thing like this with Tre Mann and try to lock him in longer term at a smaller, almost like a discount.
Yeah.
But I think if Tre Mann does not come back, I think that tells us everything that we need to know. I think that tells us that Jeff Peterson and company are not comfortable with bringing him back with his injury concerns on this roster, where just quite frankly, I think we're all sick of the injuries. And I think that's what it speaks to more so than anything.
Yeah, no doubt. It's weird because like I know for a guy who's only played like 40 games for Charlotte, like I don't know if there's been a guy who I've liked more in such a short amount of time. Like I think Tre Mann is a baller from what we've seen. And to your point about the injuries, that is a very real concern, and it's an overarching issue with the roster. And so if that's part of the story, you can't have more than one guard coming off a major injury. Like you just want to avoid that when possible, despite your like whether you're a playoff team or not. Like it's a rough place to be. It's a rough place to be. So I hope to see Tre Mann back. I think there's a lot of value in having a Tre Mann, Colin Sexton like second unit. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
But
I do too. I would love to see Tre Mann back because I think with LaMelo Ball's injury history, I saw a lot of people questioning the fit, bringing in Colin Sexton and then having Tre Mann. I immediately saw people jump into the conclusion that, well, Tre Mann's obviously out if we're bringing in Colin Sexton. And I get how you can draw upon that and come to that conclusion. That's fine. But I'm fine with bringing all three of them back because I think Colin Sexton and Tre Mann both can function as a combo guard.
yeah,
That may
yeah.
even be their better position, honestly, for both of them. I'm fine with either one of them playing some point as well because we've seen them do that and they've succeeded at doing so. And so I'm fine with that as well. But having three, LaMelo, Tre, and Colin, I would have been completely fine with that. I'd still be fine with that. We've just got to kind of see, I guess, what Tre Mann's market is and see if, Charlotte feels comfortable enough with bringing him back coming off of that back injury.
Yeah. Wish him the best. And I hope he's fully recovered. He's really fun to watch play basketball. And yeah, it sucks if it doesn't work out and this thing is more serious than we imagine. But hopefully he's back. I want to see him back. For the record, I want Tre Mann back in Charlotte. Real quick, if you're watching right now and you haven't done so already, please leave a like. we'd really appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe as well. Okay. Next, the Hornets. This is the other decision Charlotte had to make or has to make during this free agency period. So Josh Okogie has. Let me find it. So earlier today, today was the deadline to decide whether or not his contract this season would be guaranteed or not. And for some reason, Josh agreed to this. I don't know if I'd agree to this or not, but like, they're like, you know what? We're gonna push the decision back to July 15th. I think Okogie was a really savvy acquisition during the season. I think he brings a defensive presence and versatility the team really needed, especially after moving on from Cody Martin. I know Cody stays hurt, but like having a versatile, switchable guy, can't go wrong with it. I hope he's part of the plans. I hope they figure this out and get him on a good deal to bring him back, or at least agree to a good term here to bring him back, because I think he has real value with this roster. Where you at with Josh Okogie and his potential future?
I get why they did this. So the Hornets wanted more time. And then I think for Okogie, it also provides him time should the Charlotte Hornets decide to move off of him. All of the free agency hustle and bustle is it's phased out 2 weeks from now, essentially. And so like the immediate selections, the immediate deals that are being, thrown out, that all kind of subsides because the Okogie's going to be on an NBA roster again next season. And he knows it. And so I think at this point, the Charlotte Hornets are exploring, hey, let's see what we can do with this MLE.
Yeah.
And let's see what we can bring, what we can't bring. Maybe we can give Josh this and provide him a spot, or why lock him into something to where maybe at the end of the day he ends up not being able to play. And I don't think that that's what Okogie wants. I think he wants to be impactful on the floor. And so if he pushes this off another 2 weeks, once the off the jump free agency buzz has died down, he'll be a desirable target 2 weeks from now, opposed to today. He'll probably be looked over. There are higher profile guys that teams are pursuing currently. And so if Okogie is a part of this team moving forward, I'm fine with that. I think that he's an experienced Sion James for the Charlotte Hornets. I think if Sion James turns into Josh Okogie, I think the Charlotte Hornets are ecstatic.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Josh Okogie is the more mature version of Sion James currently. And so if he's a part of the team moving forward, I'm more than okay with that. But also at the same time, if he's not, I'm also okay with that too, depending upon what the other moves are, because I think that's what Charlotte's trying to do here.
Yeah. Like Sion is tough as hell. He's switchable. He has a shot on him, just like Okogie. Like it's very similar. To your point, that's a good. Hold on, real quick. Hold on. Josh Okogie is how old? 26.
26.
Sion may not be that much younger than that.
Yeah, 22, 23.
He's 22. Okay.
Yeah.
When's his
So
birthday?
5 years, 4 or 5 years cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. So he'll be 23 when the season starts. I only mentioned because of how long he's been in college. But I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Going back real quick to Sexton, because I saw a clip on TikTok of Grant Williams talking about this. Are you a numbers guy, like a jersey numbers guy?
Myself?
Yeah.
Couldn't give two shits about it. No.
Okay. Well, Grant Williams on a random podcast said, well, Grant's wearing number 2. Colin Sexton's worn number 2 his whole career. Mm-hmm. And he said that number means a lot to him, and he's not giving it up. Like he just came out just like preemptively. I don't know if Sexton hit him on the low or not, but he's like it could be a lot of money, and like we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars is probably what it's worth to switch. But it means too much to him to do it. And I don't know the timing of it. It's just weird Grant Williams stuff. Like why are you talking about this right now? But I I found it interesting to hit my For You page today of all days. With Grant popping in out of
I
nowhere.
will say
Usually,
this: if there's some younger guy that comes in and he's just joined the team and he's like, "Well, I've always worn this number. Can I have it, bro?" I'd be like, "Get the fuck out of my face! No, like you're not taking my number." But I will say, like, uh, if it were even, like we just both joined the team, like I'd be like, "Yeah, bro, you can take it. It's fine. I got a second number that I'd be about." I changed my number multiple times throughout, my high school career. So like, it didn't matter to me. I ended up 15 Vince Carter.
nice.
That's the direction that I went. But uh, I changed numbers a few times. So no, I don't really care about that. But I will say, some younger guy comes in, just join the team. Nah, man, miss me with that. You ain't getting my number.
We also said like kind of threw shots at Dallas. Like Dallas acquired him and they drafted Derek Lively and they Grant wanted two and Lively wanted two and they gave two to Lively. And probably they're like
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
not surprised how that situation in Dallas played out, given their preference between the two of those guys, and rightfully so, respectfully, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, respectfully.
Another center's off the market. Brooke Lopez to the Clippers. Great.
Shit.
So let's just jump into this part. This is the last kind of segment of the show. What do the Hornets need? We talked about the draft. We talked about the trades. We're sitting here, and the Hornets are down to two centers. There's not another true point guard on the team at the moment. Maybe there's a need for a defensive wing. Where are you at with how the Hornets should prioritize this free agent period? Because right now, quiet. Like not even news on Tre Mann. What's going to happen with him? Nothing solidified. Nothing rumored. I got my alerts up. I got X up over here, waiting to see some type of crumb of something, but nothing so far.
Uh, Initially, I think center has to be your top priority. You don't want to roll into the season with just Musa Diabate and Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Yep.
Kalkbrenner's older. He's won a ton of Defensive Player of the Year awards in the Big East.
Yeah.
7'1" shot blocker, big body. He's 260, I believe,
Yeah.
265.
He's
And so, I
a
mean,
grown ass man, man. I promise.
like, I mean, you're not talking about some frail body that is a rookie in the NBA and he's not going to be able to hang. Now, I mean, he's going to get pushed around by some guys as well. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, but it's not going to be a nightly basis. Like he's a big dude. He's a grown ass man, like you said. Um, and so center position, the Charlotte Hornets really have three on the roster. Honestly, Grant Williams is your small ball center. If Charles Lee elects to do that, which they did go to before Grant was, tore his ACL. And so right now you can really look at, yeah, he is married. You're right. Grown
Yeah,
ass man with a wife.
that's what I'm
That's
telling, man.
right.
Got
That's
adults in the
right.
mix.
But so I mean, if you're the Charlotte Hornets, you really got three centers on the roster that you can deploy at different times. I don't mind giving Kalkbrenner these early minutes. I love Moose's energy. I know Moose's 6'9", so
Yeah,
he's
he's
a
a little
little small,
smaller.
but I mean his
Yeah.
energy, his
Shorter.
length.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's shorter, but I mean he's got length
And he
and
has the
he's got.
shoulders. Yeah.
I mean he's physical and he's just got a motor that never ends. And so I don't mind running in, but I would love to bring in a vet that plays that can take some minutes because I necessarily don't want Grant Williams to play too many minutes at the five. I'm okay with it in spurts, but I'd rather there be another giant body at that spot. I would have said with Tre Mann hopefully coming back that I would have felt pretty good at point guard. If you had LaMelo Ball, Colin Sexton, and Tre Mann, and you're really just banking on health taking place with at least two of them. If one injury happens, it happens. I actually expect it at this point. But if you can go in the season with all three of those guys, I would have felt pretty good with that. So we're yet to see with Tre Mann. I think those are your two. I think those are your two spots because at this point, I think wing is it's a little crowded. Especially if you bring back Okogie. You got Brandon Miller coming back. Josh Green's rehabbing from his injury. You just drafted Knipple. You drafted McNeely. You got Sion James in the building. Tejan Salon, I know he's more of a four, but I mean, I would even still kind of throw him in there. I mean, it's a little crowded in that region at this point.
Yep. But yeah, center needs to be addressed. Just even if it's like a 1 year rental. But the market's drying up pretty quickly. You're looking at I got Spot Track open, and like Miles Turner, he's going back to Indiana. Mo Wagner, right? You're looking at Al Horford, who I don't think the Hornets could afford. Then you're in like Mason Plumlee, DeAndre Jordan territory. It's a bit rough. It gets rough pretty quickly. So even if they brought back Taj and just went with that, would you be surprised? Because I would not be. I would not be surprised if they run it back with Taj at 40.
If you run it back with Taj, you struck out on everybody that you wanted. Everybody that you targeted with your mid-level exception or even your biannual exception told you, no, hell no, I don't want to play in Charlotte.
Right.
Because what at this point, my number one option, I would overpay. I think because I don't think he would get this kind of money elsewhere. I would overpay for Al Horford. That would be what I would want the most. I would throw the full mid-level exception. I'd go 1 year, $14.1 million, and I would throw it at Al Horford. Because a pro's pro has succeeded and had success everywhere he's gone. He averaged 10 and 6 last year with the Celtics. I think he's 36, 37 years old, and he's still he's physical, he's defensive minded, he's willing to shoot from outside. I know his shot, his 3-point percentage was down last season, I believe. But I'm good with giving Musa and Kalkbrenner run. I'm fine with both of those guys because I don't think Kalkbrenner's your prototypical rookie. I think he's more NBA ready than some other guys that we've brought in years past. And then having Al Horford hold that down and just kind of teach and show and demonstrate and be that grown ass man amongst what we're calling Kalkbrenner a grown ass man, but even more so, that would be my top option at this point. The problem with that is I think Al Horford's taking less money to go play for someone or a team where they're in the playoffs. That's the only thing. That's why I think you have to overpay for him and really make him think about, hey, what do I want this year? Do I want more money? Do I want to win? He's made a lot of money over his career, but at the end of the day, hey, an extra 5, 6, 7 mil might be nice.
Yeah. I feel I'll be so like super like shocked if Horford came here. I would love it. It would be incredible for the locker room and for the on-court product, but I think it's just a tad too far for where we're at right now. Unfortunately,
I had a source reach out to me the other day stating that someone in the Charlotte Hornets organization was on the phone trying to get Al Horford to Charlotte. I'll put that out there.
Like, I'm here for it. I'll pick him up at the airport myself. Let's call. Like, I'm here. Big Al, come through.
Charles Lee coming from Boston.
Boston. Yeah.
Could be a connection there.
He's the only Yeah, he's the only player in the NBA I've seen play in college. I think the second Florida championship run,
Yeah,
they came through was it? Oh, they came through St. Louis for the Sweet 16 regional.
yeah.
And we saw Florida with Joakim Noah, Horford, Corey Brewer, all them. And so I would love to see Horford. It'd be like a weird full circle moment. Come here. But yeah. So yeah,
Do you have someone on your list?
DeAndre Ayton is a no-go for me. That doesn't make sense to what we
Yeah,
what Brandon's saying, it doesn't make sense for what we got going on here.
I
That would be like a low-key, like a weird, like a strange deviation from this path. And that's not worth it. Like if Ayton was a better player and you want to take that risk, I would understand it a little bit, but like I don't see it. I don't see it.
I think Aiton goes to one of the more premier teams. Like
Yeah.
he feels like he has
Lakers
Lakers written all over him.
for sure.
And like as a non-Lakers fan, Lakers fans always think they have every player written all over them. Like, oh yeah, that's a Lakers guy. I'm sure Lakers fans are flipping out that Dorian Finney-Smith chose to go to Houston over coming back to LA.
Yeah.
And so Lakers fans just are delusional, and they always think that everybody. Now that I probably would be delusional too if I had employed LeBron James and Luka Doncic on my favorite team as well. I would think that everybody wants to come here as well. But Ayton really does feel like he's LA bound. He does.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't completely hate it though if the Hornets strike out elsewhere. Al Horford goes somewhere else. And you're basically sat with entering the season with Kalkbrenner and Musa, or you could go in with Kalkbrenner, Musa, and Ayton, and he's willing to come here on like a 1-year deal and just maybe try to revitalize something in his career because it's got to take a hit to your pride. A former player who was a big part of a team that went to the finals and was really damn close to winning the finals. Like, I mean, had a 2-1 lead and was a starter, played a big role on that team. It's got to there's got to be a shot to your pride that you were traded from said team to a cellar dweller, and then that team didn't want you either.
Yeah.
And so, like, you've got to start looking internally at some point. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like this is maybe a look in the mirror moment for DeAndre Ayton. And I feel like if Hornets brass gets on the phone and like, hey man, we're trying to build something here. I don't know if you paid attention to who we drafted, some of the deals we've been doing lately, but look, we'll bring you into the fold, but you better be ready to work your damn ass off because we will start this rookie in front of you and your career's done if that happens. I don't know. I don't know. But there is a small portion of me that if given the option, Kalkbrenner Musa, DeAndre Ayton, I'd be willing to give him that opportunity to in like a, hey man, you're future or you're a former first overall draft pick. You played in the finals. You were supposed to be one of the premier players in the league. And now you're being bought out by the Portland Trailblazers. You better come here and bring it. We'll pay you. We got you. We're going to give you the shot. You better damn earn it. I'd be open to it. I'll say that.
It would be a real like test of like if Ayton came here on a prove it deal and it works, that it would be proof positive of this Hornets DNA thing they're throwing around. Like it would be our version of heat culture of like the Hornets organization is out of that. There's a group of teams in the NBA that are known for being incompetent or known for being cheap, just for negative reasons. And Charlotte, I think, are out of that conversation right now. I think they've done a good job the last couple years to gain respect by people that pay attention to how all the teams operate. And they look at teams like New Orleans or even Brooklyn at like,
The
what are
Bulls.
they doing?
I feel like
Right.
even though Bulls are a large market, big market team, I feel like the Bulls have fallen in even into that category.
Charlotte's getting a lot of love for operating with a plan, and I think at some point that's going to trickle down to the players, right? The media is slowly coming on board with it. It's not fully out of the woods of that reputation, but
we got
in a year or two, I think there's a real possibility where guys can come here and another center gone, Luke Garza to the Celtics.
That's okay. That's fine.
There's going. It feels like the draft, like there's a fantasy draft. There's a run on centers right now. But I still think he's going to LA just for what it's worth.
Yeah, I do too. I've seen a lot of love for Luke Cornett. Where do you fall on him?
Possibly, he's off the board now. I would have.
Where did Cornett? Oh, did he actually go to the Spurs?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as like a Shams tweet, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw it. I saw it in the chat. I didn't know if that was just somebody projecting or if it had actually taken place.
No, he's gone. That's what I'm saying. Like the free agent.
I was fine with that. I'm really glad we didn't end up with Cornett. Cornett felt like a system guy. He was surrounded by superb talent and like great roster, great system. Like hasn't been like good ever in his career. I'm really glad that we did not end up with Cornett. I would rather go Kalkbrenner, Musa, and Grant Williams rotation at center than bringing him in. Personally.
Well, I was hoping we'd have some like breaking news.
Some news. But I know
we've gone an hour and nothing's happened. So we're gonna call it here. Sorry, I was really hoping something would.
We were trying. We tried.
I was trying it, but you know what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But let me get this off the screen so I can plug your socials. Balta, tell everybody where they can find you.
All right. Usually find me on Twitter, X, Hornets lead, and then also Balta77 is my personal. I jump on there every once in a while, but mainly hold it down the Hornets lead. And then you can find me here weekly with old Sam Dracula.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if you haven't already, make sure you leave a like on the stream. If you're just joining us, sorry, we're ending. I got a notification. It was nothing to do with the NBA. That sucks. Sorry, we're ending now, but feel free to go back and watch the beginning. We talk about the draft, Mark Williams. We talk Tre Mann, Josh Okogie, and overall Hornets direction. I'm really excited as a Hornets fan right now. I really like where we're headed. Like, I'm not saying we're a playing team or playoff team or anything like that, but I feel like there's a real direction here and something that you can really see developing. And I'm so here for it.
Sam, let me ask you this right before we leave. Today, June 30th, 2025.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to pin you down, are the Hornets a play-in team next season? Yes or no?
No.
I agree. No.
And that's okay. And
even though we're trending up, I agree.
Yes. So if they're not a playing team, and that's okay. I want them to be. I want this team in the playoffs, but I'm okay with it. I'm really okay with them taking this year. I think they're legitimately a year away from being a year away. and we're it's coming. It's gonna come. I promise. You just gotta be patient with it. It's gonna pay off. It's annoying, but it's gonna pay off. But on that note, we're gonna end up here. Appreciate everyone for hanging out, and hopefully the Hornets do something at some point. But we know how they like to move. They like to take their time with it, which is fine, I guess. But anyway,
indeed.
Final words before we go. Damn it! Alexander Walker to Atlanta. Shit.
Okay, that was my top guy. Man, the Hawks are going to be good.
Yeah, that's annoying. All right.
The Hawks really did a full 180 this offseason.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
Oh well. All right. Well, that sucks. That's a downer way of ending things. But what are you gonna do? Shouts to Atlanta for holding it down and making some really smart plays in the market. But anyway, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. See you next time. Peace, everybody.